And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your
We are the last Americans. We are the last Americans. We are the last Americans.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Not yet, at least. We're not the last.
Us and all of you listening.
Greg, what's up, dude? Professor
What's going on,
Greg.
everybody?
You're looking nice today, man. You look very nice.
Yeah, got to
Yeah.
go into work right after this. So, hey.
Oh, nice,
I'm
dude.
ready to rock and roll.
Well, without sounding weird, it just looks like you smell good. You know what I mean? Like it's yeah. You know, it looks like you're ready to succeed in life right now.
Well, I did just drop a turd, so
Oh, nice,
I'm
man.
good to go. I'm clean. These pipes are clean, dude.
That's always a good
I don't know.
feeling.
You know, I don't know how clean that smells, but hey, yes.
Well.
I'm smelling fresh, looking good, ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, you got to get out that filth to look good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you do.
You do. If that
'Cause,
stuff's in you, you'll turn out like
it can be
Elvis.
toxic sometimes.
You can die on
Yeah,
the
you
toilet,
got to
bro.
cleanse it, you know?
Guys, happy Wednesday. Is it Wednesday? Yeah, it is Wednesday. Oh my God, dude, it's hump day again. It's funny when you start saying hump day, you realize like, wow, I felt like it was just hump day. And it was just hump day before that. It's going quick.
Yeah, it's going quick.
It's going quick, man.
Yep, time flies.
Time
You guys,
flies.
if you haven't already, go leave rate and reviews wherever you can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts.
We're on it all.
Go, even if you don't listen to it, just go to it and rate it.
Yeah. Spotify's trending up finally,
Yeah.
man. It's good.
Yeah.
We're happy to see those. They're starting to slowly come up. It's good stuff. But make sure you're telling your friends and sharing content. That's all I'd say.
Yeah,
Tell
you can
friends.
Yeah, what really helps is the downloads and the subscriptions. So download every episode you can. That'll really help us out.
Actually, just go to your settings and just put on automatic downloads.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
Automatic.
So that way
download.
you don't. You can just do it. Help
You
us
sound
out.
like a Grandpa Dave over here. Like this is some innovation that
You
just
can do
happened
that.
overnight.
that way you can help us out, and you don't even have to think about it.
Oh man, dude, there's a lot in the news right now. There's a lot of stuff going on, man. I've been trying to keep up with as much as possible, but my mind is a little bit on the NBA right now. So I'm just being honest with y'all. I'm not. We don't have to dive into it, but the past 2 days and 2 days coming up are like it's going to be NBA for me.
Well, that's not going to happen because the world's ending today.
Oh, it could be. I mean, yeah.
That's
I mean,
true. Greta
listen.
Thunberg did call it 5 years ago.
Oh,
so.
she did.
Yeah. So today the world is going to end.
Oh,
So hopefully you guys get to listen to this show before then.
well.
But yeah, that's it. So goodbye.
Yeah. Okay. The last episode. 15 deep, and
we are the last Americans.
Yeah, man. I don't buy into that crap, dude. Listen, it's fun. It's fun. And you know, sometimes you get hung up on stuff. Obviously, I'm a sports guy, so I'm like a little hung up on the draft is tomorrow, and it's a big draft. It's a huge thing, and there's a lot going on. So I'm very excited about that. But
Dude,
you know,
there is a lot going on, dude. I mean, Durham is testifying right now as we speak. I've heard
yeah.
several clips, and yes, I mean, it all sounds nice. It's all fancy words. It's all damning evidence. But again, it's what is going to be done. What's going to be done to these criminals, these crooks, these politicians that seemingly just get away with everything?
yeah, I heard that he was, and I really honestly was like, cool, and moved on. Because I just like, we've seen the report now. The same questions are going to come up. And I just have this gut feeling that it's just going to lead to a bunch of nothingness. You know what I'm saying?
I will say it's the first time that I've heard Durham's voice.
Oh, was it everything you thought it
What
would
does
be?
he sound like?
He's like he's like a defenseless old man.
Oh,
you know
okay.
what I'm saying? Like all of these pictures make him look tough. He's the Punisher. He's going to bring down the House of Pain.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, it's just like,
Withered.
yes, that is correct. Yes.
Oh, no.
He looks like he would sound like a Dr. Seuss character to me.
See, to me,
Kinda.
I kind of felt like I'm gonna take him out.
No.
I'm gonna take him out.
It's like a Batman? No.
Yeah, man.
That would be awesome if he did speak like that.
I'm Durham and I'm here.
He actually like turns on a soundtrack behind him every time he has to say something.
Every time he walks
Hold on,
in,
let me turn on the Rain soundtrack.
every time he
There
walks
was
through a
cold,
door,
dark night.
The Dark Knight. Dark Durham.
the Durham darkness. That's what it is.
It's the Dark Knight report.
If you could do that though, would you do it like as just being funny? Like if you were able to wear like something to have a system to have music play no matter where you walked in?
I feel like people would be annoyed with you very fast. You know what I mean? Like they would
It'd
want
be
nothing
funny.
to do. Yeah, it's funny to you, but I think most people would just be like,
Like if you're walking into a hearing like that, what would they do if you walked in and had music play?
if you gave them a cassette tape and you said, "Hey, when I come in, please play track 3."
Please play this.
Dun 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 dun. You know what I mean? Something like that. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
they
You just
probably
have like the Jurassic Park theme song going on.
Here I am. I don't know if that's right. I don't know if that's the right way to go.
Let out like a pterodactyl squeal. You know?
Oh, that's hilarious.
I mean, he could honestly say something to the effect of like, this is going to end life as we know it. He's like the asteroid, you know what I'm saying, that's getting ready to end it all. All right, take out these dinosaurs, bring in the new breed. You know what I mean?
yeah. I think the only thing that's going to come of that, honestly, is probably just more information.
Maybe. I mean, it's just
'Cause
the
obviously-
reports out there. Yeah,
I don't always believe more information is the best. I got to be honest with you. I don't, because I feel like there's a lot of information, and when you add more just with human mind, I feel like you start forgetting about good information that's already out.
Well, it depends on what questions get asked, I guess.
It's true.
Yeah, Jim Jordan was asking about this Dolan guy, and I don't know the exact tie-in with this, but I think that Jim Jordan is going to ask questions that kind of pry open statements within the report and go, oh, well, this wasn't really mentioned, and what did you mean by this statement in the report? And like, where does this lead to? You know what I mean? I think that's what you meant by more information, right?
Yeah, I feel like Jim Jordan and like Hawley, he's really good about like having a certain thing he wants to find out and asking certain questions to not only get the answers he wants, but also open doors to other things.
I just feel like when you go back, like, there's a line, like we're in an information age where there's new information always happening. We have it right at our fingertips. Like we can look anything up, and I think that's positive in almost all aspects, except for the fact that like, with all this new information always readily available and always coming out, you start to, like, our brains can only hold so much. It can only like focus on so much. And so when you look
that's the argument why all of this information is trickling out and there's not like a big flood of information, because everybody would just be overloaded. Wouldn't really understand it.
Yeah, but that's the problem is like, do you actually believe that? Because I don't. I think when you look at what the audience says and you read, what people are saying, they're just overwhelmed already. So it's not a trickle. We may say it's a trickle, but people are overwhelmed. They're like, dude, I'm so sick of this. I'm so sick of talking about this. I'm so sick of that. I'm so sick of hearing about this. And it's like, when you had like Watergate, you had this, group of information that everybody knew about. And they
Russiagate.
Sure, but no, not Russia.
Donald Trump's
Russiagate.
guilty.
No, you're missing my point. Watergate, back in the 70s, whatever it was, early 70s, mid 70s, whatever. You had this information that made him look guilty, Nixon, right? And certain people. And it was just this plot of information that everybody saw and everybody reacted to. And nowadays, it's like you get that information, but then the next day you get another swath of information about something different. And then another swath of information about something different. And so when we should still be focusing on Hillary, now everybody's like, well, Hillary's old news. We need to focus on this. And then it will be, well, Hunter's old news. We need to worry about. And it's like, that's where I think there's too much for people to actually gather.
Yeah, it's like too much of not just one thing. It's too much of like so much tragedy in the world. Like there's like
Gun
fucking
violence.
hurricanes happening. Yeah, gun violence. There's like all of these things happening around the world. And then it's like, why not just focus on the main important stories? But then again, it's like, how do you prioritize the importance of the stories?
Well, you said it before. We all have at some point. But you've said, at certain things, like they know that if you just stay out of the news long enough, it'll be forgotten. You know what I'm saying? Like if Hunter could just not be in the news for a couple months, people would eventually just be off of it. They would still remember that he's a problem, but they were not going to talk about him. Just like Epstein. Don't forget Epstein didn't kill himself, that kind of thing. Yeah. That works for a while, and now it's like, who says that? Is that trending? Is it anybody even say that anymore? No, because they're on to other things. So that's the problem with having so much. And it's all over the place. I mean, it's like, it's not just a split in the road. It's like it's like the Houston fucking highways, bro. It's everything all over the place in every direction.
No, yeah, I agree to a point. I think spreading things out and taking so long with everything does have negative effects amongst people, whether you want them to stay focused or not. But I also think maybe it gets people to a point where, like, kind of like you said, but take it in a different way, almost like enough is enough. Like, is more and more information constantly coming out over time, just pushing people to the point where they're just like, is the majority of people getting to the point where, like, why the hell are we not doing anything about this? Like, there's so much that happened. Why are we not doing anything?
Or they're getting to the point where they're like, hey, we know nothing's going to happen, so I'm going to fucking move on and forget about this, and I'm not going to vote.
I think this is all by design, dude. This is exactly what they want, right? They want you to, like, this is a big story, and everybody's like, oh, like the submarine, for example. Big story yesterday. Everybody's talking about it.
Yeah.
And that's still happening to an extent, right? But in a month or in 3 weeks, it's going to be something else. And people are going to be like, oh, yeah, I forgot about that submarine. It's just, that's everything.
But I'm more talking about, like, with politics and with you know that the crime is there, but nothing is done because you know the DOJ is corrupt. You know the intelligence agencies are corrupt, right? Not all of them, but there's certain individuals within them that cause enough damage, right? Like Hunter Biden, he was charged yesterday, right? Don't we have this story?
Well, he pled guilty. The story is actually not about that. He pled guilty yesterday to 2 misdemeanor tax issues and then a gun issue.
A gun charge, yeah.
And that was the news yesterday, and he's basically not going to get jail time at all.
They call it a slap on the wrist, right?
Yeah, and so you can expect that. We kind of expected that this guy is going to get all the special treatments, right? Conveniently...
Well, we also did talk about maybe he did do like a plea deal. Like maybe
he did do a plea deal.
Well, that's exactly
what I'm saying.
Was.
Like a behind the scenes plea deal where he actually gave up information.
That's always possible. I mean, like who was it that was just freaking out yesterday over this? The Kodak Black guy.
I have that article. Yeah, we'll get into that. The Kodak Black, the rapper Kodak Black, his lawyer came out. Basically, he decries as a 2 tiers of justice. Because, Kodak Black was hit with tax issues, gun issues. I don't know about
basically
tax,
the same fucking shit.
Well, he actually faked his numbers to get a gun because he was a felon and couldn't get a gun.
Yeah.
So you could argue it's a little different, but his point was he got 3 years for a gun charge.
Well, I mean, Hunter Biden lied on his registration, said he wasn't a drug addict.
Yeah, but that's the same thing.
Either you change numbers or you lie about information.
Exactly.
It's the same fucking thing.
Exactly. He got 3 years, and this is a really, really popular rapper. You know what I'm saying? So the lawyer is saying basically, like, and Kodak Black is black. So that's the argument. Is like, how come this person, who's also a celebrity in his own right, got 3 years? Hunter Biden, nothing.
Well, yeah, and it's not just him. How many people are in prison for the same kind of shit? Same, tons of people.
Good amount, I'm sure.
There's
a good amount.
So either he's getting special treatment because he's Joe Biden's son, or he made a deal.
I mean, where's your stand? Because I honestly don't think he made a deal. I think that he is getting special treatment, and I think that they're protecting him. That's
most likely.
That's what I think it is. I don't think he's turning on his dad. I think that's a death sentence to him. He knows it. You know what I'm saying? They'll put him on a submarine and have him lost in the ocean. On top of that, what I was going to bring up too is not only did that happen, right, which was one of the controversies, the small controversies of Hunter. There's many, many more. But he also had the baby mama drama.
Oh, yeah.
Where his daughter that he's denied the entire time that she's been alive, 4 years or whatever, they found out is his child. The mother asked for $20,000 a month in child support. He said that he's too poor to pay that.
Yeah. And go back to that picture real quick. I love how the New York Post just puts pictures of random different articles.
Yeah, this is the witches.
This has nothing to do with the article title that they're talking about. I mean, come on now.
Yeah, well, the original one was. The problem is after it plays through, it goes to a second one.
Oh, this is the autoplay.
Yeah, and by the time that we get to it, after we put it up, it already is what it is. But the mom had come out and she was, obviously pissed off that he was denying it was her child. And then she asked for $20,000 a month, which he went to court saying that he's broke and that he wants to get a smaller payment. And supposedly her lawyer would not confirm how much he actually ended up settling for, but they believe it to be about $5,000. You're talking about a quarter of what you're asking for.
Yeah.
I feel like there's probably more to this, but my ultimate point about it is it seems like he's trying to clean up the loose ends in one hit here. He got the charges, the federal charges. That seemingly is a nothing burger now. And now this other drama, which was showing that he's a piece of shit. That's getting cleaned up now. They've settled. That's not going to be talked about anymore. So it almost seems like a cleanup job. Like, let's get this all done in one shot.
Yeah.
And now, like I said to Chris yesterday, and Greg, you can jump in on this here, but I just feel like when Hunter gets brought up again, it's going to be, well, yeah, I mean, he pled guilty. Yeah, I mean, he already settled that. So what are we talking about? Why are we still talking about this? It's already done. Like, there's nothing to say unless you're talking about just the bribery, but I'm not seeing heavy movement on that yet still.
Yeah. I mean, as far as like Burisma and like his overseas dealings and like the Metabiota and all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
We'll see what comes of that.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
a lot of that
it's
stuff's
almost
still
like
under investigation, right?
Well, it's like, who's investigating that?
Mm-hmm.
Is Congress diving into that more? And if they are, like, you have to work with a foreign entity too. I mean, because Russia's making the same claims, and then it's like, if you're making the same claims as Russia, are you fucking Putin puppet at that point?
Yeah,
like everybody just smears you, and then it's like, is this just war propaganda or is this legit? Like, how do you prove that?
Well, I just think that a lot of the issues that we have. Listen, there's more. Trust me. There's the photos, the laptop, all the other shit, right?
Pudding.
Personal, the pudding, the goods, the goods.
Yeah, well, the proof is in the pudding. That's true.
No, what I'm saying is that he's starting
Chris.
to clear up his personal ties. The stuff that people are talking about exclusively Hunter, right? The dealings with foreign countries is a family scheme that he's involved with. As far as his personal mama drama, as far as his like little tax evasion shit and gun stuff. Yes, we have not fully got into the laptop, but I'm just saying he's starting to clean up those loose ends, getting away with it, like settling, getting out of it. The only way that he gets in more trouble at this point, I think, is that if they actually go after
the family,
Joe Biden.
Yeah.
And I think he's probably feeling pretty good right now because he's going, are they really going to go after Joe Biden? Is this ever going to go to a trial? Highly doubt it. And if it doesn't, then he's in the good. Because I feel like
doesn't that make you ask questions though? It's like, okay,
100%.
so Hunter Biden got a sweet ass deal. He's getting scot-free, right? Or seemingly getting off scot-free. And then Joe Biden, if he were to go down and just get like maximum penalty, wouldn't you be like, wait, so what really went on here? Did Hunter squeal on his dad?
Oh, that's not what I was talking about. I wasn't referring to him getting nothing and Joe getting something. I'm saying the only way that he anymore gets in serious trouble is if the Joe Biden case actually goes through. Yeah. He has to go down with his dad, and I don't see them going after Joe Biden. Like, I think that we can talk about, I mean, listen, man, I know that I'm probably on the, the very few that actually think that, but I think he's old. I think they're just going to forget about it. He's probably going to lose the election or somebody else will take over. And I think he'll just whisk away in the wind. His little skinny body is just going to, and I just think you won't hear about it. And if that happens,
do you think that he's like building his retirement home in Ukraine?
Joe?
Is that why he's sending so much money over there?
Joe?
Yeah.
I mean, it would probably be the safest place for him to go.
Yeah, I think he's just retiring over there. They're like, hey, bomb everywhere except for this little piece of land here. Sure. I'm spending billions of dollars to have my retirement home right here.
I would be interested if he's not going to have a home there. Like that, I feel like that would be the safest place for him after all that he's done for them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there was just an accounting error that said that we are sending an extra $6.2 billion to Ukraine. That is like this comes like months after they had another accounting error for another $1 billion or some shit.
Yeah, they just had it a couple months ago. The same.
I think this is the total though. I think that they followed up on that accounting error, and this is the lump sum after they've concluded all of the accounting errors.
So
$6.2 billion.
Total errors are $6.2 billion.
Yes.
Now, who the fuck is doing the accounting?
I did find out the total that we've sent to Ukraine, and I wanted to see if you guys could guess that.
Okay.
In billions of dollars. It's in billions of dollars.
Oh, it's not in trillions yet?
Not in trillions.
Let's see here. 6.
I'm going to say 220 billion. 320 billion. I'm going to go 320 billion.
Okay.
Man. I'm going to say
under or over.
I'm going to say $1.
$1?
I'm doing the price. I'm doing the Price is Right move. No. I'm going to say it's going to be around 500.
500 billion? The true answer is $113 billion.
Oh, geez,
okay.
not as much as I thought.
Well, I mean,
so
It just seems like more because it's like it feels like every fucking day Joe Biden's like, we're allocating this much money to.
No, you know what the problem is, man, is we are broke in general, and it's like billions aren't even a thing that we think about.
Yeah, that's true.
And so 100 and whatever you just said.
What's
billion,
the fucking difference?
No, that's like too much money still. Like, you know what I mean? Like, even though we said 325, like 100 and something billion dollars is too much fucking dollars going.
Mm-hmm.
Too much. And like, my thing with this whole like accounting here, man, come on. Like, we already sent the money. They're fine. Okay, they're fine. Like, we don't need to just be like, oh, we screwed up, here's more. We just say, hey, we actually messed up and we didn't get it all, but you're seemingly fine. So we're just going to keep this.
I like how the Pentagon, when they have accounting errors, it's not like, hey, we have an extra $2.2 billion we can do this with. We can do this with. We can provide this for our country. No, let's give it to somebody else.
Yeah.
Well, and not only that, but when's the last time you had an audit for your accountings, Pentagon? I mean, every time that I see that the Pentagon is audited, they owe trillions of dollars. I mean, the day before 9/11, Donald Rumsfeld was out there saying that they couldn't find $2.14 trillion or some shit like that. So it's like, oh, and then 9/11 happened. Okay, so it was just to cover up for all the missing money. I see.
Yeah, that probably went to the Ukraine too. You know what I'm saying?
or Saudis, I don't know.
I don't know, man. No, it's wild that much money is just being sent over there. It's just wild to me. And that's not even like breaking news anymore. Like, the whole war is kind of just like, when was the last time there's been something like major that we've been like, we need to tell you about this? Like, it's like a tussle at this point, just back and forth. You know, Russia bombs, Ukraine bombs, Russia bombs. I don't know, man.
It's like it makes me think we're in like Wag the Dog, the movie, and they're all just fucking playing with us. Like, this war's not even happening. They're just sending trillions of dollars over to this country and doing what with it?
It's almost like, if we can't be in the war, we need to make sure we're spending like we're in the war. You know what I'm saying? Like, they just can't be out of it.
Well, and then I also seen an article yesterday or something like that where Zelensky's he's baffled that nobody's like wanting to pay to have that dam rebuilt. He's like, no one's gonna pitch in to pay for this.
Yeah, what a schmuck, dude. That guy's like just a turd.
Who is Zelensky?
Yeah, dude. He's the
savior of our world.
He's such a God. He's like a typical modern young person. Like, just everything should be handed to him. Like, you know, you want to go to war and you want to have this stuff, and like, not saying that he chose to go to war per se, but you're wanting to be involved. You want to look like the tough guy, but you can't do anything on your own.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So he blows up his own dam and then he wants money for it. That's how it works.
I just don't. Yeah,
pretty much.
Like, I know there's talks about Russia being weaker than they've come across. That may be true. Who knows? You never know with propaganda. But quite honestly, if he wouldn't have got all this money, I feel like they would have been crushed. And I don't even think they're using all this money. I mean, we know that. Like, there's a ton of money going there that they have no clue where it's going to. And so it's not like all these 100 and something billion is actually going to weapons.
No.
Protections. It's just getting spent somewhere. Zelensky's, I bet you he's richer now than he's ever been, obviously.
Probably.
So,
well, since we're talking about the Ukraine and Russia war and all that shit, this is a good segue into this BlackRock recruiter who James O'Keefe Media Group caught in undercover footage, like they always do, right? So they caught this guy, and he's admitting that the BlackRock, quote, runs the world and they buy out politicians, dude. And they even talk about, this guy talks about the Ukraine war. And he says, quote, Ukraine is good for business. You know that, right? Russia blows up Ukraine's grain silos and the price of wheat is going to go mad up. The Ukrainian economy is the wheat market. The price of bread goes up. This is fantastic if you're trading. Volatility creates opportunity for profit, blah, blah, blah. So they said that, or he says that BlackRock does not want the war to stop.
Oh, of course.
And there's several videos here. I have 3 videos. They're about 2 minutes apiece. Yeah. But I chopped up his little disclosure video. And boy, oh boy, it's damning, dude. The things that he says about buying politicians, buying people.
Well, let's play it real quick, and then we can discuss it, what he says here.
Sure, yeah. Play this first one here.
So this is okay.
Serge Varlay. What's this guy's name?
Introducing Serge Varlay, whose LinkedIn says he's worked for Morgan Stanley, Citadel, and now as a recruiter at BlackRock.
I work for a company called BlackRock. I'm not actually a finance guy. I know what happens because I'm recruiting people who do these things. I'm the person who headhunts people from other firms. So I would approach you and be like, hey, this is a good reason why you should come here for us.
Serge tells us who really runs the world, how they do it, and just how much it costs to buy people, like politicians.
Let me tell you, it's not through who's the president. It's who's controlling the wallet.
And who's that?
The hedge funds, BlackRock, the banks. These guys run the campaign financing. Yep, you can buy your candidates.
How so?
All of these financial institutions, they buy politicians.
How do they run the world?
You acquire
Chugging wine.
stuff. You diversify, you acquire, you keep acquiring, you spend whatever you make in acquiring more. And at a certain point, your risk level is super low. Like, imagine you've invested in like 10 different industries, from food to drinks to like technology, right? One of them fails, it doesn't matter. You have 9 others to back you up. Risk management is inherently in just about everything, and in the finance space, it's all about it's all about the money you make. You don't let it sit. You keep using it over and over, and
Reinvest.
Yeah, and it exponential growth.
And then once you just own a little bit of everything, is that where the control?
Yeah, you own a little bit of everything, and that little bit of everything gives you so much money on a yearly basis that you can take this big ton of money. And then you can start to buy people.
Golly. Okay. So first of all, this guy is like, tonight will be the night that let's drink some wine with me.
Did you see the gun show he was putting on, dude?
I got my leather boots beside me.
Oh, God.
My skull socks to my kneecaps.
But isn't this like, obviously this is just validation of what a lot of people already figured?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, dude. I mean, he's basically, now this is the whole thing. It's like, give or take, this guy is just one man. He's a recruiter. He doesn't speak for BlackRock, whatever, right?
Sure.
So, I mean, but he's saying stuff like, it's not who is the president that's controlling the wallet of the president. You can buy your candidate. So he's basically just insinuating that BlackRock can buy the presidency, can buy senators. He's saying like, the senators are fucking cheap. If you got 10 grand, you can buy a senator. I think he says that in this next video. So it doesn't matter who wins, he says. They're in my pocket at this point.
Okay. Can we play this one?
Yeah,
now?
play this real quick here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Obviously, we have this system in place. First, there's the senators. And these guys are cheap. You got 10 grand, you can buy a senator. It doesn't matter who wins.
You're still right.
They're in my pocket at this point. I could give you $500K right now. No questions asked.
Yeah.
Are you gonna do what needs to be done? They're like, yeah, of course.
And
why not?
does like everybody do that? Does BlackRock do that?
The BlackRock Recruiter also tells us about how the U.S. government relies on BlackRock for their economic simulation computational power.
Economic simulation. They need to understand the impact of something, right? They're gonna like raise the interest rate, for example. It's gonna create this cascade of various factors that people they're not sure what it's gonna do, basically.
And just how fucking great the Ukraine war is for business.
Do you have any thoughts on the Ukraine-Russia war?
Ukraine is good for business. You know, right? We don't want the conflict to end.
Why?
We don't want the conflict to end as a country. The longer this goes on, the weaker Russia is. I'll give an example. Russia blows up Ukraine's grain silos. Price of wheat's gonna go mad up. So what are you gonna do if you're a trading firm? The moment that news hits, within a millisecond, you're gonna pump trades into whoever the wheat suppliers are, into their stocks. Within an hour or two, that stock goes up, and then you sell, and you just made, I don't know, however many mil.
Why would a news channel promote a side in war?
Because it's also good for business too. I mean, what's news? News, right? What does news feed on? They feed on strategy. They feed on hyped up events. That's what people like to watch. So when it happens, it's good business. More viewers. When nothing's happening, watch the news. I don't watch news.
They're all pushing like the same talking point. Like you generally, when you look at news, like
it's propaganda. Ukrainian economy is tied very largely to the wheat market, global wheat market. This is fantastic if you're trading. Volatility creates opportunity to make profit. War is.
Yeah.
War is really good for fucking business, guys.
It is.
I mean, who cares who dies?
It is. Well, I mean, we know it is. You know, this is not nothing new. We have a war. The American economy grows from it. You know what I mean? World War I, World War II. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of indication that that's why any of the wars we've involved in are the reason is because they need something to prop up money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just this is just further validation of kind of what we've already known. You know what I mean? There is a tweet by Anomaly that I also shared with you guys. And he points to this humanevents.com article, or BlackRock JP Morgan set up, quote, reconstruction bank for Ukraine. So BlackRock gets a $500 billion deal to rebuild Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's saying, what a spontaneous and shocking coincidence. So you have this recruiter coming out saying that BlackRock owns the world and all this shit. They don't want the war in Ukraine to end. Now they're saying, hey, BlackRock, you get this deal to rebuild Ukraine because you're making a shitload of money for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're sending billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars over there as well. Like they're going to be fine, you know? And I don't know. Part of me is just like this kind of stuff. I'm just like, fucking whatever, dude. Like we already know this, you know, like we know this. And there's some guys I follow on TikTok. They actually do a pretty good job. They go to grocery stores and they go like, we're going to look at the cereal section today. And they look at
who owns the companies.
Yeah, they look at like how many options do you really have, and when you actually break it down of who owns what, your options are very limited. They're all owned by BlackRock. They're all owned by, you know, one company.
Yeah,
and so you know it's like further proof. You know, this kind of just is further proof that. And to be fair, this guy, no one knows how important this dude is. He looks like a little fucking emo kid who's maybe. You know, possibly talking out of his context a little bit, like talking something that he really isn't all that involved in, but maybe he is. I don't know. It's not the CEO of BlackRock.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I don't think we need it to be important because I think we already know that there's these companies that just own everything and run everything, and that we see these things because they're there for a reason.
Well, I think this just goes to prove that it's like BlackRock and these organizations and these people as a whole. Like, it's not even just the CEOs that are thinking this way. It's the people below them.
Sure.
Everyone's like, yeah, we're buying everyone and everything.
He's a recruiter for the company. So he is hiring the people who think this fucked up way.
Yeah.
And I mean, the biggest revelation that he's saying is that they buy the politicians. They can buy them all the way up to the president. Not only that, but we don't have to watch the third video, but the third video talks about how they basically buy people, or they want people to buy these failing stocks at high rates, and they point to the mainstream news. He points to Jim Cramer, and he says that they call it the inverse Cramer, where they actually have Jim's Cramer, or whatever the fuck his name is, go out there and promote stock that is failing, and they know that it's going to fail, and they want people to go buy it. Mm-hmm. And then as soon as it fails, they basically go and gobble it up at low rates, right?
Sure.
And he was also saying that there's a massive insider trading thing that all politicians have with their stocks as well.
Yeah, and we know that, right?
Well, yeah, because they all know what decisions
Pelosi's.
are going to be made.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he was basically just saying, if you want to invest smart, track all the politicians and just see where they have all their stocks.
Yeah, I mean...
Like the Nancy Pelosi tracker. I mean, we've talked about that too.
Yeah, actually, one of the guys in the studio was saying that's the best thing, dude.
Yeah.
Because he just follows it. You know... Like, I don't really look at it as a revelation, like you said. Like, even like saying the politicians are bought. Like, we know they're just corrupt as all shit. We know that. You know, you could argue that we don't know exactly who, but there is no way that anybody thought that BlackRock wasn't a major player in this.
Well, I think there's a lot of people that don't understand that this is reality.
Well, so
they don't really understand it. And I mean, it's like the ins and the outs. There's not like the paperwork. There's not the documentation, the proof. It's just this guy's word, right? So I don't know if there's going to be like any legislation or any committees about this guy.
Well, I mean, there's no documented proof as far as right now that, yeah, they're buying politicians, but there definitely is documented proof that BlackRock owns part of everything.
Yeah, but see, my question would come down to this, Chris. Do people really care that they own everything? And I don't think that a lot of people do. Because they look at it like, listen, you could argue like you don't really have a choice. But in the eye, you go to the store and you're like, man, what do I want? Because there's like so many cereals here, right? Like most people, they don't really care what the details are. They just want to have their checks or their tricks or whatever it is that they want. And so if they go, hey, did you know that BlackRock owns everything? A lot of people I feel would just be like, and what? Like they're great cereals. I mean, who cares who owns it? I'm buying what cereal I want to buy. They make great products.
Well, that's people not using their brains and realizing that it's not just about cereal.
Exactly. I mean, it's when you're talking about like funding a war and you want to keep a war going and people dying, like countries being destroyed.
If you're purposely making a war take longer because you're making money on wheat, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
And if you don't think that's fucked up, then there's something wrong with you.
Well, see, that might be what he's saying that they're doing, and probably is what they're doing, right? Behind the scenes. That's the reason. But to the average person looking at, which I don't buy into this whole Ukraine-Russia war at all, but to the person who doesn't know and just waves the Ukrainian flag because they're just like, I'm supporting, they're just looking at it like, there's a bad guy and a good guy, and like it should last as long as it needs to make sure that the good guys win. They just look at it from a surface level.
They're told by the bought out politicians who the good guys are.
Yeah, but my point ultimately comes down to, do they care? I don't think that a lot of people do. We saw how bad Vietnam was, and I
think a lot of people would care if they ended up finding out that there was no reason for us to be there in the first place.
Yeah, and the
only reason we're there, according to this, is because we're making so much money on other aspects because of it.
Okay, but my question is, yes, some people would care, but what does it change? We went to Afghanistan, Iraq, right? We went to Iraq. We took that whole thing down. Weapons of mass destruction, all that stuff was fake. That's come out, right? We can agree on that. That's come out. We went there for nothing. Yeah. We went there for nothing. But what did it really change? Some people say that we went there for nothing. Some people say, I don't really give a shit. This a long time ago, who cares? Soldiers died. It's part of war.
Well, that's the thing. If the information about that stuff comes out so long afterwards, then yeah, the effect isn't going to be there. But if information like that comes out while you're still there doing it, then people are going to be pissed off.
It did. We were in that war for a very long time, up until recently. And that was coming out a long time ago.
I know, but that information comes out after it's already been going on for 15 years. Mm-hmm. That doesn't going to have the same effect as if you're...
I know, but I'm saying, what does it change going forward? Like, you could say that it was a bad war, but it doesn't change the fact that we are now in a Ukraine-Russia war that's seemingly as bad as well. Like, it doesn't stop the process from happening. And people aren't fighting for it to stop the process.
I think the objective is, in this country at least, with the way our country works and our Constitution, the last thing the government wants is its citizens pissed off at it.
They distract you with something else.
Well, not if the information is enough to keep everybody engaged.
My only hope is that people see this and then it wakes a couple people up and they go, oh, so wait, I was supporting Ukraine for what? Like, for people making money? Mm-hmm. Like, this big fucking business can make more money? I mean, a lot of the people that are supporting the Ukraine war are also against big business, right? Sure. They don't like the 1%.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you got a lot of the Bernie people that kind of are pro climate change. I got my Ukraine flag waving.
Sure.
Right. And so if they come to the realization that it's like, oh, wait, I was supporting the Ukraine war, but now this guy is saying that he wants the Ukraine war to be prolonged because he makes money. A bunch of billionaires make money off of failing economies, right? Destroyed countries, dead people. Mm-hmm. So that's my only hope is that people see this and go, whoa, yeah, I had the wrong idea.
See, and listen, that hope that you have is a legitimate hope. However, you're also talking about the same group of people that you could argue are the most hypocritical people in this country. The people that say one thing and do another all the time. So like to say that you hope that they will understand because they're anti, big business and all this stuff, that they're not going to be like, oh, we got to stop this. No, those are the same people that will say like, you need to like, you can't say anything, but we're going to fucking shove this shit down your face. Like they're confused as the most confusing people in this country. They have no clue what their actual direction is. And so to get them to win them over, they're just going to keep playing along. They'll say, well, there's a good reason that they're doing it. There has to be a good reason that they're doing it. You know what I mean? I just don't see that they would do this if there wasn't a good reason for it. And that's what scares me.
Deny.
Well, deny and just always take the side of the bad guy because they just have to. If they don't, then they lose their whole identity. Everything they're about is lost, you know?
I mean, you know, at some point you got to realize when you're wrong. And that's my only, I hope people can realize when they're wrong about certain things and take a step back. And it is, you know, I do agree. There's like a bunch of hypocrites out there.
Sure, yeah.
But I mean, how many people did we see? How many videos of blue-haired liberals saying like, whoa, I just got this realization that Trump was not as bad as I thought he was. And all this.
Not that many.
Remember?
Not that many.
I mean,
bro. In the big scheme of things, like we saw some. There were some.
Okay, but I know. But how big was that actually happening? I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
like
think
how big was that movement of people actually getting it? And wait a second. So they went after Trump illegally. They didn't really have anything on him.
Let me ask you.
They're looking at Joe Biden, right?
So outside of kind of talking about what may or may not be, right? Like what we could, like personal opinion here for you. I'm asking you, do you really think that like all that stuff when it comes to the Trump, like what you're saying here, has changed a bunch of liberals? Like in your personal, like not like, hey, it could, like what do you, in your gut is telling you, do you really think it changed that much? That many people switched over and we're like, wow, we were wrong.
No, I would say like, as far as like enough to do what? Like to make any dent in the vote?
Any dent at all. Any kind of progress, if you will.
I mean,
like I'm just asking your honest.
I think it adds up. I think it's just, you know, I think if you accumulate enough, then yeah, it could make a dent. But I don't think that. Yes, I think that our country is still divided, but I don't think it's as divided as they lead it up to be.
Well, so the reason I say that, because here's the deal. Trump was the most captivating thing in the news for years.
Yeah.
There was nothing more than Trump. Trump was everything in this country, right? Can you agree on that?
Yeah.
And so if you're saying that there may be a slight dent and they can add up with Trump, who is the number one topic, you really think there's going to be a dent on something that most people don't even know exists? That's not mainstream news?
Yeah,
because that's where my problem lies.
Trump, I don't even know if it was Trump that these videos were about because it was so long ago. I forgot what these liberals were like.
I know. I'm just saying, like, when you're talking about BlackRock, right, which is a kind of underground company that's doing their thing, right? It's not in your face every day like Trump was. And if Trump couldn't sway more than just maybe a dent, a little dent, do you really think BlackRock has the capability of making a huge dent? That would be my argument.
There's not a lot of media corporations bashing or sticking up for BlackRock.
Well,
I mean,
they're
BlackRock's just like this. Yeah, exactly. It's like this entity that exists in the background. You know what I mean?
I don't think
Trump, you had a bunch of people going after his ass and then also protecting his ass. That's what the conversation was about Trump. It's like, he's a good guy. No, he's a bad guy. He's a good guy. So like that was out in the front because the news agencies were pushing that out there. None of these news agencies are talking about BlackRock.
Exactly. Chris?
Yeah, I don't think this whole BlackRock thing is going to have anything to do with voting. I don't think it's going to sway people voting at all. But I do think it will, hopefully, I hope that it's going to make people realize how things are actually working and why the politicians and why all these people have the agendas and have the stances that they have. Not because they actually feel that way, but because they're getting paid to.
Well, I wasn't insinuating
it's like
a vote,
questioning yourself.
I want to make sure that
your beliefs.
Yeah, I don't think
as far as the
changes
mainstream, honestly, nowadays, I don't think if CNN or Fox and stuff isn't playing it, I don't think that fucking matters anymore.
No,
because social media is the mainstream media now.
Yeah, podcasts and whatnot.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think I forget who said it, but I think like CNN's numbers per show, like in prime time, is like 350,000 people watching.
Yeah,
that's nothing.
I know, but I don't watch it.
Well, yeah, I mean, look at Tucker Carlson, dude.
Yeah. I mean, I don't watch this stuff. I don't think you guys watch any of this stuff.
So Tucker.
Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, we have like a little delay here. Am I frozen?
No, you're good.
Okay. Tucker Carlson, his first episode had like 5 million views in less than 24 hours.
Yeah.
So, and that's on Twitter, bro. And it was a 20-minute episode.
But what I'm saying is like the media companies, it may not have the views, but like we use them every single day. And all these podcasts are using them every single day. They're just extending the conversation off of what they're saying. So like to say that they're not news, like they are. Like they're the kind of the base for a lot of shows.
Yeah, but they're using them for content, but they're also not just going, oh, this is what CNN said. This is 100% true.
Oh no,
that's not what's happening.
I know, but I'm saying
it's
like
it's the other media organizations like podcasts or just social media platforms or whoever are taking those stories they're putting out, at least the majority now, and going and actually being realistic about it and being okay. This might be true, but this is definitely bullshit.
Yeah, for better or worse, they're still the base though.
Yeah,
like you can use them to say, look how wrong they are. You know what I'm saying? Like that happens all the time.
Yeah.
But like they're still like
I mean, nonetheless, like to really like end this topic for me is just I'm glad the information's getting out there. And I'm glad that people are being exposed to it and they have the option to at least know what's going on. Right.
Yeah. For me,
this is just one guy. It's like the recruiter. So there's that aspect where they could, just double down on that. Be like, dude, this is a fucking recruiter. What does he know? Right.
Yeah. I want to say too, like this kind of puts something else in we don't have to have this conversation, but I'm saying when you look back, because I watched a documentary a couple months back, and when you look back at the situation with GameStop, the whole stock with GameStop, this is exactly why it was so devastating. It's because that whole GameStop scheme where everybody bought into GameStop and rose the price so much that these big wigs were losing their asses. It's because of people like BlackRock. They know when to like prop shit up, sell it, do all this stuff. And then all of a sudden GameStop situation comes around. They're like, what the fuck is going on? We didn't have control of this. And they have control of everything. Yeah. And it fucked them. And that's
that's why it was a big deal, because they weren't in control anymore.
Exactly. And I think if you want to really fuck with the stock markets and you really want to fuck with BlackRock, you got to hit him in the fucking nutsack, dude. And I think that GameStop thing was a nutsack hit. Now, a lot of people lost their asses because they kept it going for a long time.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like you want to really mess up, like you have power to like buy into stuff and make something bigger, just like they do.
Yeah.
Like they people just prop GameStop up just like they prop up a cereal company or the war. And they didn't like that. So I'm saying if you want to combat this stuff, be smarter in the stock market. Maybe that could help get groups of people together. That's why it worked, and that's why they were vilified just like J6.
Well, yeah, everything always comes down to money, right? Yeah. If you're smarter with your money and you're mindful about where it's going and who you're giving it to or what you're putting it towards, then they're fucked.
Yeah, agree.
Because that's their whole premise is money.
It's an interesting story, man. Well, I mean, we'll see what happens with it, but it's interesting. BlackRock is trending still, I think, to this point. Am I wrong?
Yeah, it is.
So it's a big deal. Greg, are you there? I think he's frozen. He's like a still frame. I did have one more thing. He'll either chime in or he won't. Either way. I got one more topic before we bounce out of here. Portland, Oregon, man.
Portland, Oregon.
Dumb kids in Portland, Oregon. And there's a reason for their dumbness. There's a huge reason for their dumbness. Go to that article here. This actually hits home for me a little bit because, as you know, I'm into cars and hot rods and shit and drags. And poor Greg. He left. I love me some hot rods. I go to all the hot rod shows, drag strips. It's a fun thing. This is actually talking about revealed America's dirty divide. A toxic metal in the U.S. city's air and maybe harming children's brains. Go down real quick. Scroll down here. It says The Guardian finds children in Portland, Oregon could have lower test scores due to lead emissions from nearby racetrack. One of dozens across the U.S. to use toxic leaded gasoline.
Okay.
I mean, listen, man, I tell you this. I've had old cars my whole life. I bought my first car, 63 Impala, when I was 14 years old.
Yeah.
Okay. And ever since then, I've had the Impala. I had a 50 Ford. I had an old ass van for a while. I had a 32 hot rod. I have 85 Blazer, all gas carbureted cars. You know what I'm saying? Old style. Even with the Impala, which probably originally was a leaded vehicle, leaded gas, like at a certain point, you change the engine, you modify it a little bit, you freshen it up, and then you get away from just the lead-based products.
Yeah, I feel like the lead stuff hasn't been around in a long time.
No. but you can buy additives.
Yeah.
You can go to the store and buy like a lead additive. If you have an old vehicle that's all original and you add that additive in there and it gives the lead that it needs to run properly. But that's like far and few between.
Yeah, it's not like thousands or millions of people are doing that.
No. And on top of it, they point out that lead gas.
I think I'm back now.
Hey, you're back, dude. All right, man.
Jeez.
Yeah,
dude, I don't know what the hell happened. My whole internet just shut down.
I have no clue. I'm talking about the lead gas in Portland, and it's making kids dumb. That's what they're talking about.
Did you eat paint chips as a kid?
Oh God, this is such a
Why?
Like this bothers me because they're using this track and using racing and vintage vehicles as a reason that test scores are low. And I would argue that it's probably because there's bad teachers who have other ulterior motives. That the school system's really fucked in a lot of parts of this country.
Yeah.
And I highly doubt that the fucking low test scores is the couple cars on the racetrack. And mind you, I want to be very clear. I don't know if you guys have been to Woodburn or if you've been to PIR in Portland International Raceway. I have multiple times. It's out in the fucking industrial area, bro.
Yeah.
Okay? It's out there.
Not close to where they live.
Well, I mean, North Portland is over there, but you're talking about it's right next to a fucking I-5, which is a super highway, you know what I'm saying, all the way from Canada to Mexico. Millions of cars on it all the time. And you got this one track who every weekend on Friday and Saturday, they have a fucking small, even just part of the year.
Yeah, it's literally 6 days a month where they do something.
And let's not mind.
How are they arguing that does this lead get into the water somehow?
It gets into the air.
It's in the air.
It gets in the air. And they're saying that is enough to cause kids to have low test scores. So when neighbors mentioned, a mother of two, a pediatric nurse who works in environmental health, go figure what kind of person she is, I'm sure, that toxic leaded gasoline has been used at a racetrack just down the road from her house in Portland, Oregon, where she was taken aback by the whole situation.
So it's the gasoline that's causing this?
So back in the day, Greg, I know you missed the first part. Back in the day, old vehicles,
there was
lead gas.
Was lead. It wasn't lead based, but there was lead in it.
Yeah, so that's when you go to the store and you get unleaded fuel. Okay, so back in the day, cars ran on leaded fuel.
Yeah.
And they didn't operate properly without it. So old vehicles. Now I was telling Chris, you can still buy like additives. If you have an old original vehicle, you can buy lead additives to put in your gas tank every time you fill up, and it helps keep your engine running the right way for that particular year. But most people change that stuff over. They modify their vehicles. They, put a new modern engine in it. Yeah. They upgrade it over time, and leaded fuel is it's there, but if you go to a car show with 500 cars, I would bet you a dozen have leaded fuel. Like literally, like I'm probably exaggerating, but majority of stuff has been modernized enough that they don't use leaded fuel anymore.
Yeah.
Especially top fuel drags and shit like that these things are doing. The only time you're going to see it is like the old vintage drags. You might see some cars with some leaded fuel in there. But you have like major corporations on the river in Portland. You have Fiber, Weyerhaeuser, all that shit back in the day in Longview, like pumping fucking fumes up in the air.
Yeah.
And you're worried about a fucking couple cars drag racing. Like, I feel like this is a fucking hit job on classic cars because they hate fuel anyways.
Well, I feel like, there's probably a few hundred cars in the whole state that run on have leaded fuel.
So it says real quick, concerns about Portland racetrack for one is now growing because new research has revealed the extent to which lead emissions from automobile racing impairs the cognitive development of children living nearby.
So look at the graph. See the dot graph where it shows elementary schools, parks, daycares all around this raceway.
Sure.
So show that real quick, because that's kind of probably what they're using as evidence. This is 2 miles from the racetrack, okay, everybody?
Sure.
Look at all this damage that they're doing to people. Children. Okay.
Yeah, that's right on. Like, you understand that, like, there's rivers around this track. There's a lot of airflow. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like high winds and stuff. Like, come on, man.
And right there, it says at Portland's International Raceway, about 40% of the events used leaded gasoline. Over the past 5 years, they've sold anywhere from 1,300 gallons to 3,000 gallons of this leaded gasoline. This poison.
3,000 gallons.
1,300 gallons in 5 years. That's nothing.
Exactly.
No, it says that 3,000 annually.
Over the last 5 years, the racetrack has sold anywhere between 1,300 to 3,000 gallons.
Annually. Okay.
Yeah, but that's not the point. Like 1,300 gallons. I mean, I put 20 gallons in my wife's van every fucking couple days at this point.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just saying, like, is it really that significant, man? Like, and how many people have been going to the racetrack since the fucking 1960s?
Yeah. Or before then.
Like, I'm so like,
I don't know when PIR like started, but
so now Portland, because they're a bunch of weak pussies, are going to start saying we need to shut down the tracks, bro. And then you want to know what the problem is? Here's the thing. Here's the funny thing real quick. And I'm going to end on this. I love how people complain about these fucking street racers and shit. I love how they complain about the fucking burnouts on the bridge and the street racing and the dangers, and they tell people go race at the track. It's the
and then they
safest
take
way.
away the track.
And then they want to like go against the track. If you remove PIR from Portland, you are going to have insane amount of street racing.
They're going to find somewhere else to race.
Yeah.
You know what, though? I do want to just kind of bring in the subject of fluorine, though, because I know that there was a study out there that said fluorinated water did kind of damage fetal growth for boys specifically. When mothers drink fluorinated water, there was a study that found that it impaired their growth, like the brain growth.
Okay.
Portland does not have fluorinated water, so I'm wondering if there's something in their water that they did besides fluorine. You know, like did they add too much chlorine? Is there another chemical that they used?
They don't have fluoride in their water?
They don't use fluoride, yeah, because when I went on a brewery run, just like a hopping, between different breweries, we had like this tour guide thing, and he was like, yeah, Portland doesn't have fluorinated water, and it actually helps our brew, come out and the taste of the beer and all this shit. And I was just like, okay, so that's fucking hippie. I was like, I'm okay with the non-fluoride or fluorinated water, but I'm like, what are you doing instead, though?
I looked it up, and it says that no, they do not, but fluoride naturally occurs in Portland's water at low levels. So you may want to ask your dentist or doctor about supplemental fluoride to prevent tooth decay.
So are they using supplemental fluoride? That's my thing, dude. Like, are all these kids using like a bunch of fluoride
in their toothpaste?
Yeah. Well, not just in their toothpaste.
How does fluoride? I obviously I'm done with this, but how does fluoride just occur naturally in city water?
I don't know how that works.
I don't know how it would, I mean,
I'm just asking in general because I feel like
it's a gas. So I don't know if that gas just exists in the air and the atmosphere, like at a certain percentage.
I just don't understand why people feel like they have to go after one specific thing when there's millions of different things that affect their children. You know what I'm saying? Like
exactly.
Like your kid, you're bitching about the racetrack, but you're probably feeding your kid a fucking guapa nuggets right now. You know what I'm saying? A guapa chicken nuggies. You know what I'm saying? That are full of different shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's be real. Like, there's toxins and there's things in everything. If you really go down that path, you can get yourself in a real dark hole of nothing is safe. You know what I'm saying?
For sure, dude. If anybody talks about like the United States, Portland, climate change, gas emissions, I just go, China. That's all I say. It's just, look at China.
I just, my big gripe is growing up in the area, actually going to PIR and loving that and enjoying that kind of a thing. It just, for Portland, and I'm done after this. Portland, I just feel like they can't afford to lose anything else. Okay? They're getting to the point where everything is leaving. And if you start going after like stuff that brings people into Portland, which is Portland International Raceway, right? I mean, God forbid that Portland Trailblazers ever sell their fucking team.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
right.
why would you ever fucking go there? You know what I'm saying? At a certain point, people just don't want to go to these cities, and you keep going after the shit that is drawing people.
Yeah.
So I'm just done with this shit, man. Like, this is not a legitimate fucking argument. Move. Okay? Like, the entire city of Longview lives by mills. Like, if you don't like the idea that there's possibly toxins in the air, fucking move.
Hey, do you think
this is a push to get more money, and it promotes the climate change narrative?
Yeah.
And it does a lot of different shit about like getting rid of fuel, right? Like, let's get rid of fuel. Let's promote the electric cars. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think Portland adds in that ultrazine chemical to their water?
Oh, dude, that's cancer causing. Hopefully not.
RFK was talking about that on Joe Rogan, and they were giving it to mice and frogs and stuff, and it was actually it was it was making them turn into females, and they were actually having eggs that were
dude, it's LGBTQ dream, bro. Give me that. They're saying like fuck castration. Give me
like,
this.
Yeah,
fucking
we don't
chemical.
have fluoride in our water, but we have ultrazine. You're gonna be a woman.
I have a uterus now. You know what I'm saying?
Like
mutants. We're fucking Ninja Turtles, bro.
There's so much shit in the water that it's like, why are we just looking at this Portland Raceway? Like what Dave said. Like, look at the fucking chicken nuggets that you're putting in the kids' mouth. Look at everything else that.
It's crazy.
I mean, come on.
It's a crazy time. It goes to the entire kind of premise of this whole conversation today, which is people's minds go to wherever they want them to go.
Well, and that's kind of the thing that I was saying. I think a lot of people nowadays, especially now, are paying a lot more attention to that kind of shit. Because you see videos like on TikTok and fucking Instagram and everywhere of like, hey, do you guys know this shit? And like point out like what's in what and all this stuff. And everyone's like, well, I'm not fucking doing that anymore.
Well, pay attention to more shit so you get distracted from the important shit. That's what I get concerned with. Well, is this really that important, or is BlackRock that important?
Well, I mean, there's levels of importance.
That's what I'm saying. This woman's freaking out about this, but hey, you should be worrying, to Greg's point, about the fucking food you're eating. You should be worrying about the fucking companies that are owning this entire country, or that the president's taking money from people, foreign adversaries. Hey, there we go.
Yeah.
But no, lead. You fucking paint eaters, like Greg said.
I mean, if lead was a problem, then yeah, it would be pretty high on my Richter scale, because I would be like, yeah, I don't want my kids eating lead.
I have a feeling this is at a level they were looking for a problem.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, dude. All right, man. Well, Greg, glad you got back for a couple minutes there. Cheers to you. Have a good day at work. Chris, cheers to you.
Happy hump day, everybody.
Happy hump day.